All right, well, it's 6:30, so we'll call the meeting to order. Doug is ill, so he won't be here. Marie Underwood is away, so she said she won't be able to be here. Who are we missing? We're missing Ellie and Mike Nami, right?
Mike can't make it.
Mike can't make it, okay.
He's got people helping him. He's going to have his opening.
Yep, okay. Well, we have a quorum, so we can begin.
One question. Karen, is the Historical Society P.O. Box 28, or is that yours?
Nope, that's the historical society.
Before we start, under other on your agenda, please add crosswalks and poles. We're going to discuss both of them. So we'll jump right in. So sidewalk options. Dick and Karen and Janet, I know you guys met.
Yes, we did. We ate. You ate. I had found a rubber product that is made out of recycled tires, and everything I read about it sounds like a terrific product, and it absorbs water rather than sheeting, and anyway, it had a lot of good things, lasts way longer than other products.
It absorbs water?
It'll conduct the water through it to underneath. But I have tried emailing them through their website. I've tried contacting through the website. I emailed them and said this was a last-ditch effort to contact them. The phone number that was advertised was a fax number, and the fax number was discontinued. So I was and they had done a work in Vermont, so I was going to try and get a contact in Vermont to see how it had gone. But at this point, they may have a good product, but if you can't work with them, contact them.
Not a good sign.
It's
right?
not a good sign. They're obviously very disorganized, or I don't know what. So my wonderful find, I think, is turning out to be.
Well, you know, after that evening, I was thinking about it. I talked to Dick one morning at the post office where we see everybody, and I said, you know, I got thinking about chewed up rubber. And I thought that they made some AstroTurf stuff with it, and all these kids got cancer. So yeah. I was like, maybe it's a great idea.
I had read that too, but people aren't going to be face down on the sidewalks.
We hope not.
There's a bar there. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
that
right.
it just went through my head.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe we really need to investigate.
I read that too.
Yeah.
So.
Were there any other options that anybody looked at?
You know, I think the thing that is missing from the whole picture, and this is after we had our meeting, I thought of it, and talking to James, and he agrees with it too. We don't know what the state's going to do for us. We're ahead of ourselves.
Well, the state will do asphalt.
They will replace what's there.
Right.
And if there's money left, what I was told, if there was additional monies left over, they would help improve. They'll improve to the next step. But generally, we're probably going to be bearing some of the cost of the improvement.
Oh
Right,
yeah,
right,
they
yeah.
said anything above asphalt we paid for.
Right, but they do, depends on the cost of the bid and how things come in. If it fits within the money they have, they will
They'll
do an
contribute.
upgrade. But they
Up
won't
to a certain
change.
amount.
They won't change a dirt path into a brick sidewalk, because
No.
that's like 2 steps above, from my understanding. So yeah, we're going to bear some costs for sure. So.
Well, at our last meeting, we discussed the brick sidewalks, and we had an email from a resident who said that the brick sidewalks were very problematic, and that some towns are actually considering taking them out because they're dangerous. I mean, I guess with the frost heave, they shift a lot. They're harder to maintain.
And they break up, and they're just
It's
unstable.
slippery.
Yeah.
So
When I saw Ernie 2 years ago, and I whenever I see Ernie, I prod him for where are we at, what are we doing. 2 years ago he said, well, you guys are going to want brick sidewalks, right? And I said, you're asking somebody that doesn't take that decision. But I'll tell you, from a maintenance standpoint, I have real concerns about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And he says, oh, you don't have to worry about it. I said, well, tell me why. I said, we snowblow. We have a snowblower on our Bobcat, and my biggest fear is we pick up a brick and throw it through somebody's windshield. I said, so how is it that we don't have to worry about it? And his explanation to me was, in the older days, they would put gravel down, put sand down, compact it, and then put the bricks on that. But today, they pave. They put a little bit of sand, and then they put the brick on top of that, so that there's a base that is solid that the brick sits on. And he said where they do that now, they have no problems. It's not a shifting issue. There's never a frost heave issue, because you're on something that's an actual solid base. So we kind of,
I think I'd like to talk to somebody who has done
Yes.
that and see what they say.
and I think Ernie, in talking with us, will probably have some examples of where that's worked out pretty well.
And we could look at Lincolnville, because theirs have been in probably about
Yeah.
8 years now.
Now, the place where
7, 6,
Lincolnville I
8 years.
see is having some issues is outside of the village, where the bricks were placed in the old-fashioned way. In the downtown, because I went through today, actually, I've become a tourist in everybody else's town, because I look at everything they've done, from lighting to sidewalks to curbs. The downtown looks pretty good, but it is a local one that we can go see right quickly, and Camden as well. There's a lot of good places we can, and maybe this committee should plan a field trip of some sort, or at least people on this committee should do. I'm sure probably you have, but I look at Hallowell, and I mean every time I go into it, I look at issues and try to see what's good and what's bad. And Hallowell's got some issues with bricks, but they have some base issues that weren't taken care of. Theirs was an older rebuild too, so it'd be nice to know.
The one in the old port in Portland that they're considering taking up, obviously they've been there for a while, so
Right.
they may not
They
be
might be the older way
they
of
must
putting
be
it
the
in.
older one.
I did, last time I was in Portland, they were actually replacing,
They were already
on,
doing,
I think, Commercial Street coming in, they were redoing the corners. But surprisingly, they were redoing the corners just the way that Ernie described it to me. They were paving and sanding and then putting
and then
brick on
putting the
top
bricks
of it.
down,
So
yeah.
it's definitely something as a committee that should be written down as a definitive question for the DOT, to find out
Yeah.
where they've done it more recently and the success of it. So
Yeah, how long
'Cause he
have they
convinced me.
lasted is also critical. I mean,
Yeah.
it can be like a drug trial, it's good for 5 years, but 15 years down the road, it's a mess, so it's worth.
I was down in Lincolnville a week or so ago. I walked up to where Jim Murphy lives now.
Yep.
And the sidewalk in the center wasn't bad. It was the edges, the brick on the edge. There was no support under it. That's where you saw the breakage, the cracks, and the everything looked good in between it.
some of that was poured. They're not real bricks too. Some of the outer edges, I was told, was actually poured in a form put into it to look like like a brick.
To me, it looked like the outer edge was definitely
Was really
real
brick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's one of the
Okay.
things that we were going to look into, the cement or the concrete that they pour that they can make look like all kinds of things. Did anybody investigate anything like that? Because that sounds like an option that's not terribly expensive, and yet you get that look, you get the nice look.
That's probably the cheapest way to go, and I know they were doing that a while back.
So in
Time
Belfast,
flies.
they have that.
I find
Yeah.
it hard. I find it hard to believe, like you said, 8 years down in Lincolnville. I thought that was more like 4 years ago, but time flies.
Time
It
flies,
does.
yeah.
Yeah.
That brick look is done in the center of the crosswalks in Camden. And the only problem in Camden is the amount of traffic. They've worn out the brick look where the vehicles
Yeah,
drive
they
over.
did that in Bucksport too.
But that's heavy traffic.
Right.
Yeah.
If we're talking sidewalk, that might be an option that we
Yeah.
should definitely look at.
Well, and I'd like to know how, I can't remember how long ago Belfast did that brick edging on Main Street, which you see, and I haven't seen any deterioration on that.
That they hired they actually hired a cement guy. They were contracting that out, and I talked to their manager about it. It was cheaper to put a cement contractor, hire him on the payroll, and they hired this guy for a few years to fix all the problems, because initially when they put that in, cement and then the foot of brick, it was all coming apart because it wasn't done right.
Okay.
And since they hired and fixed all those problems, they're pretty happy with it. In fact, initially, one of the people that was hired to fix the problem over there is the same guy that did our walkway at the library. And he did a really nice job, but when they decided how much it was going to cost them to fix all those problems, and they decided it was easier to find a contractor who wanted to work on the city payroll. And for that summer, and I think part of the next, they fixed all the problems. So. But that was a problem when they first installed it. It would just, their moisture gets through the brick and pushes it up, and the sidewalk kept the moisture from going this direction, and the granite curb kept it from going that direction. So when it froze, the only place it could go was straight up. And
So that's not paving underneath those bricks, or it wasn't at the time?
It wasn't. Now
at the time,
it's
right.
now I believe it's poured cement
Okay.
and sand and a brick, and then the brick is mortared, so it's not loose. So when water sheds off, comes off the cement, past the brick and over into the curb. So
There's still some
I'm sure there's
breakage
there's
and some,
always gonna be
some heaving
even
and whatnot.
your best.
But I think it may be on, like, I walk up High Street every day from the parking lot, and when it rains there, all that water comes down
It's all
Main
coming down.
Street, you know, and so High Street probably is in better condition than Main Street. So, and even with the snow.
I think no matter what we do, we're going to have to think about the maintenance in the future and keep it up. Our sidewalks now are in decent shape, but they need
How long
need
have they
help.
been there? Do you remember the last time they were replaced?
The last one that we did was in front of where the Exxon was, and that's been 12 years
Is it
or so.
really?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm.
When I came here, when I started in Searsport, we still had dirt in front of where Aaron Fetke's is. That was dirt. We started to repave and reclaim most of that. It wasn't too long and everything was covered again. So, but I don't know if that was a result of maybe it never had pavement, but I remember it being dirt, because when you
Yeah.
walk on the sidewalks downtown and it rained, you had mud.
Yep,
So
I remember that.
that
Can I
was a
just
mess.
throw in some things that we talked about at
Please.
I
Sure.
just took a few notes, but
Yeah.
just so you know, we were trying to just brainstorm about what the necessary elements might be. We talked a little bit about Tosha's parking lot being owned by the town, and I think you had measured it or something, and if you could get 7 to 8 feet off that'd be the northbound side, you might be able to get a right-hand turn.
Yeah.
And a left-hand
Somehow we
turn.
went from sidewalks to right-hand turns.
But, and if we did that, then we'd
Easy.
have to redo that part of the sidewalk. You have to take some of that sidewalk out, probably right to where the crosswalk is there. I kind of estimated.
Northbound or southbound?
Northbound, so if you're coming down Goodell,
Goodell.
and looking at the water, it's on the left-hand side, that
Okay.
part.
Okay.
That would have to be widened for turning in,
Gotcha.
but we would have enough room. I know this is probably more a DOT thing
Yeah,
and the
they-
police thing, but we were just looking at that because that would mean we'd have to rearrange that sidewalk. So the other, and we talked about the width of the sidewalk being 44 inches. We didn't even know. We just, for
Yeah,
wheelchairs and whatnot.
And you had to figure 44 inches for ADA, and he's
Yeah.
saying 60 inches.
Yeah, so
Ernie
we thought
was
that
saying
was an
60.
awful lot.
I have 48 for ADA.
48
48.
ADA.
48, and that's what they told us when they were here that
Should be an
time.
extra
Yeah.
foot that they're asking for. Down in Lincolnville, now, if they're going back 6 or 8 years, they probably weren't operating under the same rules. But you have more like a 48-inch, 44 to 48-inch sidewalk. And a little grass strip. Once you leave the bridge, you know, when you go down, as you come down by the Lobster restaurant there, you cross that little bridge and you can take a left into their lot. On the other side of that bridge, you start dropping down to a thin sidewalk. 44, 48 inches.
The other thing we talked about was roof drains.
Was what?
The roof drains.
The roof drains.
Oh, yeah.
There's four of them or 5? Did we?
I don't know, I didn't
were
count them,
4.
but I knew there
I
were
think-
quite a few on the museum side.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think it's 4.
And the way they do it in Belfast, the way they did it in Belfast was they put the, is it PVC pipe or whatever? Some of it's
PVC.
turquoise, tacky, and some of it's white. But they brought that up out of the sidewalk and brought the drain pipes from the roof down into that.
Into
So
the-
apparently it drains under the sidewalk and down the hill probably, I don't know.
Into the subsurface drain on the edge of the street.
Is that how it does
And
it?
that's
Yeah.
what, I think Ernie had talked about at the end of that meeting, because we had expressed to him, that's a major issue for us because of the freezing, the
Yeah.
refreeze from the melt. That exposure of the roof melts, and it freezes overnight. So-
Oh, yeah.
Is that a hugely expensive thing to do?
We didn't look into that, but we didn't know if that was something that we
will
had to
be-
talk to
that'll
DOT
be-
about,
That'll
or?
be a DOT issue.
Well, do you want me to talk to Ernie about the options with the brick, the new process in the brick? You want me to call him about that?
Well, when are
Or-
they coming back? I mean,
They said towards the end of the
I
summer.
remember.
The fall.
Yeah,
Fall.
early fall.
we should probably try to get him before then. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's some other questions that I have reference to lighting, and I'll address that when we get there.
Okay. Another thing we talked about was who's responsible for the door stoops
For the what?
going in and out of the stores. There are
For the what?
steps.
The
Oh.
steps.
Oh, on the
Steps.
museum side.
We had this conversation. I call them door stoops. But, you know, who, I mean, people that own the buildings are responsible for those? Is that part of the sidewalk? You
If
know,
they're-
do we want them to be
And that's definitely,
unified?
that is definitely a visual thing too.
Yeah.
If you've got a nice sidewalk and you've got stoops every
And they're all
40
different.
feet,
Yeah.
they're all different.
Yeah.
Some of them chipped, patched together, a
Yep.
couple of them are okay.
Or even if they wanted to put
They're
wooden
all
ones
in the
out,
right.
you know,
They're
how do
all
we
in
do
the
that?
right of way.
So who's
So
responsible?
So I would
DOT?
bet the DOT would
Okay.
have some ability to control that. So, and I'm hoping that
It's
they
a little
would make
different
it
on
easy.
the, what
South
side is
side.
it?
North side?
Is that the north side? The Mount Ephraim Road side?
Yeah,
Opposed
north
to
side.
the ocean side,
Yeah.
and the bay side? Because
Yeah, there's like
there's only like one step up
four-
into every store.
There's 4
Yeah.
different looks on that side
Yeah.
too. There's brick, there's the stone, there's cement,
Well, each
and there's a
block.
piece of granite.
Yeah,
Each block is different, yeah.
I like the granite.
And I think if they laid granite on all of them, it would be very nice,
Be
uniform.
nice. I love
And
granite.
it wouldn't come apart.
Yeah.
No,
You wouldn't deal with cement coming apart in the future, and you wouldn't
Yeah,
have
just chipping and stuff.
chips. You know, you might
Mm-hmm.
have chips, but they won't be as bad.
All right, well, I'll try to get Ernie to come in and meet with us.
Yeah, I think
Maybe in
that'd
the
be great.
next
Meeting. or two.
month or two. That'd be great. Okay, anything else on sidewalks?
Well, what we tried to figure out where the boundaries would be, and we talked about from Water Street to Elm Street on your side, and then we talked about TD Bank North where the sidewalk ends on Pike Road. Okay, all the way to Church Street. But again, nobody told us
Yeah.
what we're looking at.
Right,
So-
right.
They'll look at all, they'll be working on all of the sidewalks within the zone, which runs from Savage Road
To Station.
to
Station,
Station
right.
Avenue.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, but they'll all be possibly rebuilt. Now the ones from Savage Road side are fairly new and in pretty good shape. The ones in front of the bed and breakfasts are newer, and they're in really good shape too. The decision, or what I've heard talked about at DOT, was maybe going further out where there doesn't exist sidewalk in front of the Antique Mall and the Hamilton Marine and all this.
Yeah, it stops at Trendy Road. We
Right,
always had a
Trendy.
sidewalk, because we used to cross the street, we were
So-
able to walk down the sidewalk.
That was,
But beyond that, there was like some semblance of a
Piecemeal.
walkway,
Yeah,
but it never
yeah,
got
not,
kept
not
up.
a real,
No.
no. not a real
there was some
walkway.
talk about making that walkway.
But we probably wouldn't put as much money into making
No.
that the same
No.
as we would
No,
have.
it's just
no,
really
no,
the
that would be
downtown
asphalt.
portion that
Yeah.
should be, you know,
Nice.
historically
Yeah.
attractive and, but beyond that,
Well, we talked
just,
about maintaining the integrity of Searsport
yeah.
and making it special.
But beyond that, rather than spend a lot of money, but safety needs to be the first consideration. And if we have, you know, even if it's not matching what's downtown,
Yeah, and I'm
Better
not
than-
sure that any of the sidewalks outside of that area on either side are 48 inches. No.
I don't think they are.
They're not, I mean, they appear to be.
And it's not just safety, it's also compliance with ADA.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
If there's a
yeah.
sidewalk, it needs to be.
it needs to be compliant, yeah.
We're going over things that those rules weren't in existence at the time.
Yeah,
Right.
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 If
That's right.
you go down to Lincolnville, you'll see how they brought the granite right down level with it, and then they have a 45-degree angle for the snow plows where they can start into the curb without taking the curb out. But what has happened, a lot of times they've got that blade up on the curb and they've chipped the top piece of the granite
Oh,
into
sure,
the bricks.
yeah,
Ah.
yeah.
But it looks to me like once they get to that point, they get right back on the road, which we gotta get that, they gotta get them roads plowed and opened up.
Yeah. All right, well, if there's nothing else on sidewalks, James, you want to talk to us about lighting? That's, and Marie is not here and Sylvie's not here, so
Gifts.
it's you.
I don't have a full complement of them, but if we start this going that way, there's only five, I think 5 of each.
We never hit
We could share.
crosswalks.
We're gonna do that under other.
Yeah,
That's
other
what-
crosswalk and poles are under others.
I'm going to get confused before I'm done.
Yes, wait a minute.
Because they look so alike. You got post top
I've got
cut
side-
off and 2 of the, I've only got 5 of each, so I'm going to have to
Okay.
try my best to.
Oh, we could share.
Ann and I can share.
Okay.
You can pass that on to Deborah.
Teardrop.
We've got it.
Teardrop.
Here, you need one of these, though.
Like you say, they
Oh,
all look
teardrop.
alike. Teardrop is,
Oh, wow.
Give
I may
Dick a teardrop.
may actually have more teardrops than I need.
I like them.
In fact, I got,
They might be a little.
some reason I got more teardrops than anything else.
So there are 3.
Yeah, they
Oh,
look
there's
bigger.
more than 3.
I don't know what I like.
They kept making copies,
Wow.
sending me things. Well, here's an extra
Are
one.
any of these local?
And
Oh, I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like the lion.
Maybe we could have a few lions at the
So these
beginning
are-
and end coming in.
these are excerpts from the catalog when I called Merrimack's Industrial Sales. I had him come down and meet with me. He has some specific questions that I have to ask of Ernie as well. He needs, a couple things have happened. He needs to know how many lumens are required by federal highway at street level in order to figure out what we need for fixtures. There's a guy who represents Halifain named John, and his last name jumped out of my head. He wants to do a site visit to see, but what it basically came down to with the fixtures was a decision on what do you want. I actually went and also met with Chuck Piper because I have an interest in seeing an expansion of, or the
Oh, the solar?
installation of solar.
Yeah.
And Chuck is working on that for me, but Chuck also needs to know how many lumens and how much power it takes, because I worked with Chuck a while back to see if we could put solar on top of the fire station and capture the credits and make a program of it. Unfortunately, we didn't know when we built the fire station that that was the future thing,
Yeah.
and it's not facing the right direction.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
right.
but the buildings downtown do. So the thought I had was maybe some solar above that wouldn't be seen, charging batteries that would be going into the lighting system, he's working on some ideas behind it. I still need to know how many lumens, how many poles, and it's all driven by the amount of light you need on the street. Talk to George. I'm very mindful also of light pollution, and we want to pick a fixture that doesn't add to the sky.
Right, that's downwards.
So there's so many different.
Directed,
yeah.
There's still a lot of things to be talked about with the state.
Are there any
if
prices
we-
on these, Jim?
Not yet. Not yet. That's what when we figure out how many and when John comes, we'll know about what cost is. Two different options: a 10-foot pole and a 12-foot pole. I believe is what he said. 10, the taller pole. Again, I go through towns and cities and I look at everything. Hallowell has overdone it with their poles and their lighting, and it actually is. They've got too much going on down there, and it really doesn't look attractive. We have a
In what
choice.
way, James? Too close?
They're too
Okay.
close together,
Too
and
busy.
it's
Too
too
much.
busy. It looks.
Okay.
It's a big drinking
no,
town,
it's
so I
not.
guess they don't really. It doesn't matter that much
No, it's not.
to them, but it's from a visitor's standpoint, it's really busy. The other thing that I'd like to talk to the state about, and we need to find out if lighting is going to be part of the contract, or is it on us
Completely.
completely?
Yeah.
And can we do that before they do their project? Because we know we have the ability to remove the poles. We will not lose the pole at the corner of Mount Ephraim Road and Main Street. That pole needs to remain because that's what feeds your neighborhood.
Yeah.
It crosses the road there. The power crosses the road. They might be able to pull it back, but I'm not sure even about that. But that pole has to stay. Still need to talk. Another option that was discussed was pushing the poles out instead of removing them, so that you don't have as many poles. You make a wider distance between them, and you could avoid all of the downtown with the exception of that one pole. I'm not
Are you talking
advocating
about the wooden telephone
Yeah.
poles? Not light poles?
wooden telephone poles. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying that was another part of the discussion with CMP. We have so many other utilities on
Yeah.
those poles. It could be. We've got a lot of work to do in that direction. But I would envision that if I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but it might be a good idea to figure out what we want, and maybe if it fits within. If it's on our dime anyway, maybe we should do that before we even do the project. And work on getting the poles before we even off Main Street,
Well, we
before
definitely
they
need
come
to
to do
know,
it.
what do we do first? What can we do before the project?
Well,
What has to wait till?
And this is
till
one of the
after.
questions for Ernie, because,
Do we need anybody other than Ernie?
well, they've got a team.
I know, they never
He
come along.
probably won't
you
be,
come with
he's
6
probably
people.
not the light and utility guy. In fact, I know he's not, but it's a question we should have answered. Because if we could do that ahead of time, and if it's not holding up the project or creating headaches for the digging and the project in the
Right.
future, it might be wise to do that now.
Sure.
The selectmen do have availability of some funding, and I would think that we're going to need our light poles in place and illuminated before we cut the poles out, because if we do the telephone poles first,
It'll
we
be
won't
black.
have lighting downtown.
Right.
So I don't know where they
Yeah.
figure out where the cart is and the horse is.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't want to get ahead of it, and it was one of the questions that the lighting guys from Merrimack wanted to, and we need to know if it's part of the project or if it's a standalone. Because if it's a standalone and it's on our shoulders, then
We can go.
we should start it.
As long as it
in that
isn't going to
way.
interfere with what they're doing.
As long as it doesn't interfere.
Right.
And the other choice we have is the fixture heads, the color, and the type of pole. If you look at the one that I think it's not the thickest, but this sight link, I've seen
Oh,
site link. I've gone to a lot of
Classical.
Maine Municipal Association meetings. This is the pole that seems to be the most versatile for doing things with. If you want to hang flowers or flags, these links,
Next page.
there's
Yeah, you got all kinds of stuff hanging off there.
there's channels on 4 sides of the pole, so you can actually get locked-in fixtures to hang.
Looks very busy.
They say flowers, lights, Christmas
Christmas
trees,
decorations.
and
Scarecrow
when they
flag.
first introduced
Flag,
these, they were very expensive.
What about
I
palm
think the
trees?
first numbers I heard on these were somewhere near $9,000 a fixture.
Wow.
The last time I spoke to them, and this is even today, it's over a year ago, they were down to somewhere near $6,000 a fixture, which isn't bad compared to where it was. I mean, that's
Is that
an
the
extra.
entire, the post, the lamp, everything?
That's the whole thing. Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Installed.
Yeah. Well, that's their estimate. So, so the type of pole, and then the type of light and the color are really kind of important parts. I will tell you, Camden is green, and Camden is changing out all of their fixtures. They are, I believe what I was told just the other day is they're actually talking about going to a black fixture. They have a top fixture kind of like this one, and a little bit different, more decorative.
Yeah.
It's an incandescent light, and everyone and this comes right from one of their employees. They've had to change the bulbs a lot. They're a real pain. So they a couple years ago decided they would go to all LED. So the maintenance interval
Yeah.
was further apart. But you have to change the entire top to put the LED in. If the LED goes bad, you need to buy a whole additional top. You can't change a bulb. So they're in the midst.
That's
They're
like the
gonna,
headlights on a car. You have
Yeah.
to buy the whole.
they're going to do the whole thing.
So what are they going to move to?
Nobody could tell me. I don't
Solar?
have. I don't have an answer to that. I don't think they're going solar. I think they're going LED, but it'll be a. Apparently, it's going to be a completely different pole and everything. I was kind of being the scavenger that I am, thinking, boy, those are really nice poles. They're green,
Maybe
but
we're gonna have-
what are they be doing? But I'm
We don't
understanding
want
it's a
incandescent lights.
trade-in. No, we want energy efficiency.
Yeah.
So.
We also-
Everything we do is energy efficient. You're under
Yeah.
LED lights in here, and
Yeah.
they're superior to anything we ever had.
They are.
We also need to consider whether it would be a single light or a double, and how much space those take
Yeah,
up.
The type of a head is
Yeah, the head.
definitely part of the mix.
I got a couple of things. Any kind of light like this is gonna throw light out to the side. You go up 8 to 12 feet, you're gonna be
Yeah.
thrown into windows on the
That's-
second floor.
Can I see which one are you?
This is the halophane,
Yeah.
like what Camden has.
Okay. Yep.
I like this one here because it looks like it would fit good in the center of town, hanging
Yes.
down.
Throws light
Yeah.
And it would
down.
throw light down. That's where we want it, not
Yeah.
up in the sky.
I agree.
Another question I got,
Which one is that? Which,
Catalog is that?
yes, site link?
that one there.
Oh, site link, yes.
We talk about that one pole having to remain. Why can't we put that underground, across the street underground? They're gonna dig up the road and get rid of it.
You don't.
We're gonna have that sitting here for the
The
next
only
100 years.
the only issue with that, as I understand it, is you still need a pole on one end and the other end because you need the base to send it down through.
Oh, here we
So
go.
you could move it back and send it underground.
Yep.
That's part of design.
You're into a situation where you're digging up the road anyhow for this, that, and the other thing. Why
Oh.
not plan that?
Karen, what do you
I'm
think about the
100%
one
on board
on,
with
site link on the
Getting
first
them all
page?
This one?
So
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Which one?
nice.
Just with
Turn the
flags
page
on it.
and-
With
Yeah.
with the two flags.
Yeah, I like
Yes.
that one, and what's the other one? I saw. There was another one that had the.
And because I started looking at this, I've also looked at a lot of historic photographs of Searsport. And there are a few existing, and there were lights in downtown at different periods. And some of the older lamps are the similar to what's on top of post full cutoff. Not quite like that, but they were.
Yeah, they were oil.
They were the standard. This style.
Oh,
that
yes.
You don't have.
Yeah.
They were the
Yeah.
carriage like.
Yes.
Most of them from the historic times. That's what I've seen.
I kind of like these too. I mean, I don't like the way it juts out, but I like the fact that it has things you can hang things on.
You could fit 2 seagulls on one of those lamps. That would be attractive.
Pigeons. That's what we have problem with.
Pigeons, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's decoration.
Yes, yeah, that's natural feeling. yeah.
Yep, that would be very nice.
Anybody from the city could relate to it.
That would be me.
I used to listen to the coo 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 at sunrise every
Yeah,
morning
I would be very
in
happy
the
with that.
tenements. I don't know how I can stand doves today, but I hated pigeons back then.
Oh, stop it.
Oh,
quiet.
I love doves.
James, are you planning to talk to Ernie separately, or do you want to put all these questions together
We
and try
could
to
put
get
it-
him here?
We could put them together. It might be just as well.
I think
put
we
'em
need to get
together.
him in here with
Yeah.
whoever else is involved. with-
Yeah, I'll write down the ones that I got notes all over with questions for him.
Yeah.
And mostly about this lighting situation and if it's part of the contract, if it's not, can we move forward, does it get in the way?
Well, do you want me to
Kind of
contact him, or are you
Not
gonna
bothering
contact
with
him?
historical.
Either way.
I can see if I can get him in here with whoever,
Just light.
Yep.
and then you've got a list of questions for him. That'd be good.
I think it's better to do it in front of the whole committee so that.
Yeah, I don't-
we
yeah,
can
I don't-
all
I don't-
process.
Let's see if we can get him in here.
Yeah.
I
Too much
kind of
light,
think
too.
that this Granville LED that I've given you a brochure on is probably a no-go in anybody's,
I don't like
in
it.
anyone's world.
Yeah.
Because this is the one that diffuses the light in
Yeah.
all directions,
Yeah.
so.
No, I think.
This is similar to what Camden has.
It's much better.
If you wanted to go see how
Want to throw this one right out, pull it right out of this mess?
Fine with me, I don't like it.
Which
Granville.
The Granville
This one, that
LED.
one.
This one right here.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Oh,
Sorry.
Actually, if we were looking at the one that has the two, where did you see that? Right there.
Yeah.
If you had it going this way on the sidewalk, it would light up
Yeah.
more of the sidewalk, not have it
This
coming out
one?
into the road.
But
Yeah.
maybe 2 lights on one pole is too much light.
Well, it
we
depends
don't
on how
know.
many lumens,
Yeah,
right?
This one.
and,
Oh, that's-
and I think these are actually a little bit smaller than the sight link that you're seeing on the other one. They have
That-
3 LED optical. They have 3 lights within them.
This would probably be more expensive because there's an extra light fixture on the pole. I don't see that we could hang
I don't either, I don't see
flags
anything.
and stuff
I
off it.
I think this was
I
really.
like this one.
The one with the flags on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
I think that
like
would
that
do
one,
us
too.
very nicely.
I've seen this fixture in my travels. The only problem is
Remember where?
it's scrambled up
You
here.
don't remember
I
where,
saw it.
right?
Actually, I think I was out of state where I saw it. It was
Oh.
down in Washington.
Well, the suppliers should be able to tell you
Yeah,
where in our
well-
area we could go
Well,
and
this
see
is
some.
Ohio.
Oh,
So
maybe I
what?
can see it on my
Ohio.
trip. Yeah, to Cleveland.
Halopaine headquarters in Ohio, Acuity brand lighting in Ontario.
Oh, I'm going there.
You going there too? England, you going to England? You going to England?
Janet,
not
where
this
you
year.
going, the Republican convention?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'm going with my elbows.
You get introduced to Flora or whatever her name is there, right?
Sorry?
Cruz
Yeah.
is vice president.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
Fiorina.
There's a nice
Fiorina.
one right here too. It's very similar to the one with
Yeah.
the flags. But there has the thing off to the side where you can hang the decorations, but it still has the
look, yeah,
the
facing
old
down.
fashioned look that comes
And,
down,
yeah.
so it would light
Yeah.
under, yeah.
Which one is, what book is that in?
Oh, I don't know. Sight link
Sight
of
link.
the same book.
Oh, it's in the same
Yeah.
one,
Same book.
okay.
Last page.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be willing to toss this one out too, the one with, forgive me, tigers and lions on it.
Oh,
I
and
don't-
bears on mine?
Yes, I don't see anything in there.
That's Detroit.
Well, there.
And I think those globes that face downward are similar to the ones facing upward. They don't really shine downward, they shine outward. Those probably will give us more than we need.
And this is the only one downward, but it's a double, and I don't know that we need that much light. Everything else is upward. So in the lions and tigers, there's only one downward looking light there.
Well, I would think it would depend on how many feet out the light,
Unless you were
you know, the
turning
light
side-
would go.
yeah, I don't know.
Because we don't want places on the sidewalk with shadow because people fall off the sidewalk. So we've got to have enough to light it the whole way, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, we need some continuity of light, I think is what they call it, so that
Okay,
you don't end up with dark spots.
yeah. But at 6,000 a shot, I don't think we want too many.
We could issue them flashlights and come out ahead.
John,
Whatever happened to candles?
John thought that there was, just in his cursory drive-through, thought that we were looking at less than 10. And I tend to think he's probably right, without over-cluttering it, but he really came down to what did they need on the street? How many lumens is required at street level, so that's
You
an
think
Ernie
there'd be
question
a
for sure.
standard somewhere for
Well, there
that?
There's a
is.
required
Just have to-
standard.
yeah.
Yeah, we just don't know
We
it
just
yet.
don't know what it is.
Right, so we gotta find that.
And that we would find out from DOT, or?
Yes,
Yes.
Ernie. will know.
All right, so we
Yeah.
will
So
see
heads
if we
up to
can get them
him
in, yeah.
that we need that information.
And we're all pretty much agreed that we want one facing downwards, and we just need
Waste and
some.
it go up, and it only aggravates people on the
Yeah,
side.
that's right. And
I would
not
say
doing-
get your real bullets together and give it to Ernie so that he comes prepared to answer those instead of
Yeah.
getting
Right.
hit.
Yeah,
These are really pretty, but they look like, you know, outside door lights.
Oh,
Don't they? You know, that you put at the
yes.
head of your steps, you know, they're just the tops. Doesn't look like they would really
But I
fan
think
that.
they also look so they go outwards rather than downwards.
Yeah.
which one's that, Karen?
The one with the red brick.
Oh.
Right, near the last page. I'm just looking at the,
James, do you suppose there's anything like a
Silhouettes that they have.
consumer's report on this kind of lighting so that we could maybe find one that if we go for LED, find one that doesn't blow its LED lights all the time and have to replace the
Yeah,
whole
it's hard.
thing?
That's so, I'm not sure. I mean, everything I try to do an LED right across the board here. And
Yes, but maybe one fixture is better than
There might be
another
a-
for,
yeah, and underwriter's
Maintenance?
laboratory. Because this is one company. It's a major company, Halophane. They've contracted with the state on a lot of their endeavors,
Okay.
but there are other companies out there.
well,
Yeah.
Okay.
we can,
We can ask.
One of Consumer Reports has done anything on lights like that.
Could be.
although they do consumer products rather than,
Town,
Yeah,
Town
municipal,
and
stuff.
we wouldn't be thinking about industrial.
Right,
but we could check with, if we find a town that's got lighting we like, we could always ask what their experience has been.
John will know where some of this stuff is installed in the state. He sold most of it, so he'll give us an idea, if we have an idea of what we like, to actually go look at it. That's
okay.
good.
Um,
Lumens are most important.
Lumens are important, and be interested in hearing what Chuck Piper comes back with.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we're on it.
Do we have anything on Bangor Savings Bank, or not yet?
No, I've got to call their new grounds person, the old grounds person has left. Ellie and I spoke yesterday,
Yeah.
and I have not been able to get a hold of the guy. So that's more my fault than his. I just haven't had. Every time I have time to think about it, I don't think about it. Sorry. I will reach out this.
We'll put that
this
one on
week.
hold. Crosswalks, Don was good enough to give us a map of where the crosswalks are, and Phyllis was good enough to drive by and see what's there and what isn't there. And,
I don't know how to show this to you, but
yeah,
the one I noticed is really not there.
this one here, right?
Yeah, that's the one near near Prospect Street, just at the top of the hill, and you know it's not there, I believe, for really good reason, because if you're heading towards Belfast at dusk, you're
You don't see
totally
it.
blinded by the sun, and if people were in that crosswalk, you really probably wouldn't see them if you came up over that hill. The other direction, you know, you're very visible. But then again, if there were a blinking light right there, that would be a nice cautionary. I think everything else is there. This one that's just past Ann and Ben's driveway and sort of opposite Warren Street.
That's Nichols, on Nichols,
No, that's Nichols. This is Warren.
that's Warren.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's, the tracings of it are barely visible, but why it's there, I have absolutely no idea. I don't know what the point of
Yeah.
crossing here is. Everything else is exactly where Don had it marked. And the only suggestion I had was to add one up near the yard arm, because the gas convenience stores, Dunkin' Donuts, are across the street, and the sidewalk is on the other side also. So that was just, I'll turn it around. I just wanted
I'm familiar with it. The crosswalk here is because the sidewalk doesn't run to the corner of Black Road. It crosses over here.
Okay.
So that one is in place. It should be diagonal to get the sidewalks to connect.
But unlike the others, there's no yellow sign
Yeah, I know.
indicating a pedestrian walking, so you wouldn't know it's there unless you're looking for the paint residue.
Yeah, we should sign that for sure.
Okay.
And I think it's a really good suggestion about having one where people are going to be crossing from the yard arm or whatever.
Treasures
To
and
the
trash.
Dunkin', treasures and trash. There's a Dunkin' Donuts across the street. There's a gas station. There's a convenience store. We're gonna get a lot of
everything. Yeah.
foot traffic going back and forth.
And easier access to the sidewalk, too.
Yeah, and there is no crosswalk there, so that would be a good one. Anybody disagree?
So I like that idea of putting it diagonally
Yeah, it's a
and
little-
then and install the signs.
It would be easy to add crosswalks up in that area of town. Downtown is where you got to do the granite curves and all of that stuff. That one won't be accurate with.
They're all there. I don't know that there'd be any point in adding anything to what's there. They seem fairly frequent in the downtown
I
area.
did ask after a crosswalk up by Dunkin' Donuts. It's been a while that I approached DOT. Their only issue was, in order to put in a crosswalk, they have to have a solid landing and takeoff zone. And in that particular location, they need to know where you want it to go to. There's no crosswalk across the street. There's the treasures and trash, there's the model ships, and there's the hotel.
You mean there's no sidewalk?
There's no sidewalk,
Okay.
but there's no, like I say, there's no
Right.
takeoff point to
Right.
say, I'm leaving a safe location to go to the sidewalk across the street, and even across the street, there's really no sidewalk there either. So this is many years ago, I think right after Duncan was finished, and Jeff had approached me, and I think someone else, and I don't know if it was someone else on that side of the street, approached me about being able to cross safely, and I did ask after it, and that was what I was given for the answer, was there's no clear takeoff or landing zone, so they really didn't know what to do.
Okay, except that Station Avenue, which is the end of the development project, is beyond that. So why wouldn't that sidewalk be extended?
Well, we think
to-
it will be.
Oh, okay.
And we think it should be.
Okay.
Then the only issue is where they're gonna come from to get there.
On the other side of the
There's
street.
a landing zone, there's no takeoff, so, you know, do you do it from Jeff, you know, from Treasures or Trash, the motel or the Blue Jacket? But it's something we should talk about. I think it's really needed. I've seen a lot of people from all three of those commercial locations
Trying to
Me
cross.
too.
jumping across the road, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Me too.
35-mile-an-hour zone,
Yep.
which
Yep.
means they're
Maybe
going 40, 45.
That's right,
It's an accident looking for a place to happen.
that's right.
We found the
Do
place.
you
it's just-
usually put
Dick, did you wanna
crosswalks in
see that, or-
areas where it's more than 25 miles an hour? You know, our others are in the 25 mile an hour zone.
No, we're in the 35 coming up the hill from Seamlaw. That's a
That
that's a
turns to 35, right by Ann's.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great too.
So, yeah.
It's not a great
Ja-
corner either.
James, does ADA require curb cuts for wheelchairs?
Yeah, part of my grant process when we were chasing after this money, I took pictures of all of the crosswalks, and very few of them are ADA compliant. Very few of our connections between sidewalks from one block to the next are ADA compliant. And in fact, the crosswalk right downtown in front of the Grasshopper Shop is a curb. So anyone trying to get over that with the wheelchairs, they may start out being able to get down onto the crosswalk. When they reach the other side, they're in a jam. So that was all part of the application to this project. So. And apparently listened to, because every little bit helped. That and visibility, the poles were an issue. You can't, when you're pulling out, there are poles lined up in a way that if you look down the street and you're parked in the right place, you can't see the cars coming
And
at you.
even
You
pulling
have
out-
to move out into the traffic lane.
Yeah.
So we
Pulling
put all
out
that in.
from side roads, if there are cars in all the parking spaces,
Yeah, you can't see.
you're blind.
Thanks.
I've seen more cars come out of Leach Street this year than ever before.
Yes, I've been
Out?
seeing a lot, yes,
Out.
it's one
Isn't that
way.
one way?
I mean, it
It
is.
is, and this year for to
They
the
come
point it's
out?
noticeable. Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
these locals?
Oh, who knows?
No.
But there's a
No.
sign
Coming out onto
going,
Route 1?
the
Wow.
don't enter sign, going into that
Yep.
section got smushed by the,
So we're gonna have to go back and deal with that.
by the snowplow, and then it was at an angle that nobody could see. It might be a little better
Yeah,
now, I
I'll
haven't
go.
noticed, but it's been at all kinds of
Yeah.
angles.
We want to paint the street down there too with some sort of
An
Yeah,
arrow or
arrow
something?
to try
Yeah.
to show it. So, but yeah, this year,
I've seen
first year,
many
I've
cars
seen
going
in the
up
past
there.
2 weeks, I've seen 3
Yeah.
cars coming out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Past week, 3 cars coming out of
Yeah.
there. I think one of them backed into it and pulled out, but that's still illegal.
still
So
illegal.
yeah. I
And-
saw
I've
a
never
car
seen
back
that.
out of Leanne's driveway the other day and go right up to the top of the road. And I suppose if you're not from Searsport, and even if you are, if you're not from that little area,
Yeah,
You
you
wouldn't
wouldn't know.
right.
Well, how many people are in the post office parking lot and back out and come out the entrance?
Oh,
yes.
You know, local people.
Yeah.
You know, that
Probably.
happens all the time.
Yeah. I've seen Ben do it. I'm thinking, I could have done it. Okay, anything to add on the polls, or is it just
Nope,
something
that's
that we?
all I've got right
yeah.
now.
All right, then I guess what we need to do is get some, get DOT in here, Ernie and his cohorts, whoever he wants to bring. I'll tell him what we want to discuss, and then he can bring the appropriate people. And then we'll set up a meeting when we get a date from him.
So, James, if you have a list of questions you're putting together, could you send them to
I
Anne?
will. Yeah, I got sticky notes all over my desk. All these questions as they come, I just have to put them together. I'll shoot them off to you. So.
It's a good cleaning project.
It's excellent. I have to do it every week or so. So transcribe everything into notebooks and then,
Yeah.
Do you want these all back?
nope. No, better just to take them. I have them in email form so I can forward them too.
Mm-hmm.
That way everybody can have them.
Maybe
share 'em.
send them to Doug and Ellie and who else is in here?
Mike,
Marie was on this committee.
Marie.
Yeah, and Mike.
yeah. They're gonna hate the ones you like, Ken.
Why?
No, they won't, I'm only kidding.
I only get one vote, but I'm going to use it loudly.
Yes.
All right, anyone else have anything to add? Or shall we adjourn and
Yes.
get back together when we have a date from DOT?
Just looking at the picture with the light pole that we like.
Yeah.
Look at the sidewalk
Yeah,
they have.
yeah,
That's
the
kind
brick.
of interesting.
Yeah, I saw that.
But actually, and this pole is the same one as the one I liked on the back.
Decorative.
Yeah, right there. I just kept looking back and
Oh,
forth.
yes.
It's exactly the
It's
same thing.
same.
It's just got this,
You've got the-
which is
yeah.
what we would use more than
Right.
we'd use two flags. We don't put
Right.
two flags out. We just put one
Yep.
out. But at Christmas we put them.
Yeah, but
Take that, right?
that, isn't that the light pole that's got the channel in it that you can put different
That's
fixtures
now a
in?
pole.
Sammy's discussing.
The poles are separate from the top fixtures, so you can get whatever you want below it. And
Oh,
so,
okay.
but we
So
want to make
that's-
sure that, I think we want to make sure we have a channel so that we can do
Yeah,
the flags
do
or
all our
the flags, or
decorations.
Christmas decorations.
What do we have against green?